Take me to that day your father died.
My dad was already sick. He had congestive heart failure, diabetes, and Lord knows any other sickness that he had that he didn't make aware of. Around the time when he died, he was really sick. He would throw up, basically, from what I remember from what the paramedics had told us. It was dead blood. He would throw that up a lot. At the time, me and Mom didn't know what that was. And as it is, my dad and my mom, they're both in the medical field, and most likely my dad did know it was his time to go. So it was around 2 in the morning that morning. My dad was supposed to go to the doctor to see what was wrong, but instead, I woke up to my mom screaming for my dad to get up. He collapsed in the bathroom, which is across my room. And that was the first day we ever had to call 911.
Take your time. Oh.
I didn't realize how hard it was going to be talking about it for once.
It's okay. Take your time. You across the room and you saw your dad. Did you see him collapse?
It was my mom who found him. I didn't see him. From what I remember, she told me she was checking on him when he was in the restroom, and then I guess when she checked on him again, he was collapsed on the floor. When the paramedics came that morning, I was in my room the whole time. I didn't want to see him like that. I was in my room for several hours, and I still had school that following day. So around 5 in the morning, they had left with my dad. And I had to go to school that day. So my mom didn't drive at the time. So I try not thinking about it as much. My mom had...
So you had to go to school the same day your father died?
Yes, we had testing, and I couldn't miss that, so I had to go.
Keep going.
And I remember when I went to the bus stop, because my friends, we lived near each other, they ran up to me and they said, "Why was the paramedics at your house? Who was that? Was that your neighbor?" My neighbor, Mr. Jackson, at the time, he was still living at the time. He was an older man, so they thought it was him because he's an older man. It wasn't him, it was my dad. And I just broke down crying at the bus stop.
And what's most painful about it? I know the death is more painful. What's really most painful about it?
I couldn't do anything to help him.
Do you still feel helpless sometimes?
At times, I wish I could have, because the day before that all happened, I was talking to my friends and I told them my dad's symptoms, and they said, "You should take him to the hospital." But he was already supposed to be going to the doctor that day. So sometimes I do think what would have happened if I did call 911 at a time. But he was already sick as it was, so I don't know, honestly.
So you went to school. You went to school that day, and take me to the first class. How was that? What was that like? knowing that your father had just, well, did you know he passed away when he got into medics?
I knew he had passed from when
Oh.
my mom found him, and
Was that a feeling, or you just somebody told you, or was that just like you just knew?
my mom had told me that he was dead. She was hysterical. She took it the worst.
Is it still tough for her?
Oh yeah, that was her best friend. He was the reason why she's even here in America.
Mm.
So yeah.
So you had to go to school that day. How was class? Like, what was class like?
I just tried not thinking about it. I just wanted to focus on my test that day. Because I think back in the day when we were still in school, I think it was still called the CRCT test, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So we still had to take that.
So this is around testing periods,
Yes.
which means that for you to graduate or for you to go to the next grade, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What are your aspirations in life? What do you want to do? Like after high school, you graduated, you've gone through so much with your father and toxic relationships. What do you want to do in this world?
Career-wise, what I've decided, made my mind up. At first, it was to go into therapy, family and marriage counseling, to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
But with how school is and how money is, being realistic, I changed it. But just because I changed my main major, which was psychology, I'm still gonna help people regardless. That's
why does that come? Why do you want to help people so much?
Well, even though I had a decent I had a pretty decent childhood. I know my parents, they came from hardships from their childhood. My mom, when she was in the Philippines, I remember growing up, her telling me stories of how it was hard for them in school, and like, she had their school uniform, because in the Philippines, they have their uniforms. She had one pair of shoes and one main skirt she had, and a couple more tops, but she would always polish those shoes so you couldn't tell that that's her only pair. She would polish them all the time, so you couldn't tell that that was her main pair and she was wearing them out. And with my dad, we didn't go that much into his childhood, but yeah, it was the same thing. He had a big family. I think it was about 5 other siblings, and my one aunt. I want to help people, so even though if they're struggling, they know they have someone there that, even though I might not know you personally, that I still care about you. I might not know you, but I'm here to help you, because no one should feel like there's no one there to help them in their times of need.
Okay. And what do you hope to achieve? Like, what are your dreams in life? What do you want to do? Do you want to own business, or what do you want to do in life?
In life, I'm thinking about it now. I most likely might have my own small business. It's involving crafting and with more in my mind, which is art. And most of it would be involved with making different crafts and little things with recycled materials like CDs, paper, plastic, different recycling materials, since we need to recycle a lot of our stuff because we don't have any more room to put garbage, so recycling is a big thing.
Okay.
What I would say to an 11-year-old girl who just lost her father and or someone close to her is that it's hard now, but later on in the years, I know they tell you this, some people say it gets better, and sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. That was someone close to you, and you miss them, of course, but I'm not going to say it gets better. Sometimes it doesn't, and it's okay, but just make sure you know that you do have some other people that are still around you that do care about you, about your well-being. Make sure you go out for help. Make sure you tell them that if you feel a certain way, if you're going through something, reach out to them. Because they won't know what you're going through unless you tell them. You can't just keep it sealed up inside and hold it and just think that someone's gonna automatically assume that they know that there's something wrong. Because if you hold it in and you're hiding it, and if you're hiding it pretty good, like how I did growing up, no one's gonna know that you're hurting inside.
Wow. That's big.